I worked at a forensic state facility that housed mentally disabled men who were unable to stand trial. My shift was from 9:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. I thought it was funny that a lot of my co-workers were into the ghost stories, but I learnt real quick that all you could do was laugh at things you couldn't explain. One night I was sitting in a chair in the doorway of my one-to-one client. His room was the last room of the hallway near the exit door, so it was dark on that side of the hall when the lights were off. I had seen a dark sort of figure under the exit sign that was placed above the exit door. I stared at it for about a minute, trying to register what I was actually seeing, before I could get through my head that this was something unusual. The figure rushed towards me, causing me to jump and fall out of my chair. I laughed because I thought I looked silly on camera, as there were cameras covering every inch of the hallway. I also joked with other co-workers, saying I was part of the ghost story gang. That same night I was in the chart room at around 4:30 a.m. to file observation notes of the residents in the chart book. The books were really heavy and weren't easy to tote around. After I filled all the charts, as we had 12 residents on my home, and put the books back on the shelf, they flew off the shelf as they were being thrown and landed in the middle of the room. At that time, I was more upset than concerned, because it was a long and hellish night, and I had to just put those books up. There were other instances when I had seen things I couldn't explain. One instance was when I had seen a headless figure standing at the end of the hallway, the same spot where I had seen that shadow. I thought it was a resident at first because he was wearing a white t-shirt, blue basketball shorts and white sneakers. He resembled another resident who lived on a different home, as he was the only individual on campus that was close to 7 foot and nearly 400 pounds. I walked towards it calling the individual's name, but got no reaction from the figure. I looked down to get my break room key from my pocket because I thought the resident needed something to drink, and we often had the good stuff. When I looked up, the figure was gone. There were other times when the shadows would be out, and I noticed it was usually when our residents were asleep in the room most of the night. I told my new co-worker about all I have seen on my home, and she laughed, saying I was just as crazy as the other people on the night shift. The next night after that conversation, she was to work a shift on her own. After that night, she demanded to be moved to another home. I was curious about her transfer and went to read the observation and home notes from the last night she worked. It said 4:30 a.m., all residents asleep in their beds throughout the night. I guess they didn't like the new girl's sense of humor.